Christopher Columbus and his Spanish companions were incredibly cruel to the native people they encountered. A Spanish writer once noted that Columbus trembled as he wrote about the atrocities. The force led by Columbus killed millions, with some sources stating they killed 8 million people on a single island. Columbus, initially seen as a hero, became a villain due to his brutal actions. His later years were filled with hardship. I am AK, and in the History of America series by Eagles of History, we will explore this transformation in detail. There's a story that at a party, someone claimed Columbus had found a way to Asia, and that if he hadn't, he would have been killed. Columbus then asked for eggs, challenging guests to make them stand on a table. When they failed, he cracked an egg slightly and made it stand, explaining that once a task is done, it seems easy, but the true credit belongs to the one who did it first. Whether the story is true or not, Columbus impressed the Spanish rulers with his speeches. He convinced them to send a large force to the New World, promising to bring back gold and slaves. The Spanish ruler was so impressed that he provided Columbus with a fleet of 17 ships and 300 people, including soldiers and weapons. On his second expedition, Columbus arrived to find that the 39 men he had left at Fort Navidad were dead. They had formed gangs, kidnapped, and assaulted women and children, which led to their deaths at the hands of the locals. Columbus ordered his soldiers to search for gold and enslave the local population. His forces spread across the Hispaniola Islands, looting villages. The Spanish were not interested in friendship, but in exploitation. The local people often fled their villages to escape the Spanish invaders. In 1495, Columbus, frustrated by the lack of gold, decided to make up for it by capturing slaves. He rounded up 2,500 men, women, and children, chaining and beating them. Of these, 500 were sent to Spain, where 200 died en route. Columbus demanded that men aged 14 and above find a specific amount of gold every 3 months. Those who failed had their hands cut off, and many died from the resulting blood loss. People were forced to work in the mines, where they faced harsh conditions, and many died from hunger and disease. The forced labor and exploitation led to widespread starvation. Many children died, and some mothers drowned their children to save them from suffering. The once fertile land became desolate. Columbus returned to Spain, leaving his brothers in charge. They worsened the situation, leading to revolts. A Spanish judge eventually ordered Columbus and his brothers back to Spain in chains. Columbus managed to secure another voyage by convincing the Spanish rulers he was close to finding gold, but he was removed from his position as governor. On his fourth and final voyage, Columbus explored Honduras, Panama, and Nicaragua, but found no gold. Stranded in Jamaica with dwindling supplies, he tricked the locals into providing food by predicting a lunar eclipse. Columbus returned to Spain and died in 1506, still believing he had found a new route to Asia. Despite causing the deaths of millions, he lived comfortably due to the wealth he acquired. The New World was later named America after the explorer Amerigo Vespucci, who recognized it was not Asia, but a new continent. The Spanish continued their brutal conquest, wiping out native populations and bringing African slaves to replace them. The legacy of Columbus is one of destruction and exploitation, remembered with resentment by the descendants of those he harmed. The Spanish Empire expanded into South America, where they encountered the powerful Aztec Empire, leading to further conflict. We will explore Columbus's journey from hero to villain and the devastating impact of his actions on the native populations of the Americas.